Hello everyone, Bill Coyle here with more travel agent tips. Today we're super excited to be speaking about the last frontier, Alaska. And we are very excited to have Carolyn Sakarik, our Director of Marketing Strategy and Community Engagement here at KHM Travel Group. Carrie, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
So Carrie, I understand that you just went to Alaska for the first time this year.
I did. So Alaska's been on my bucket list ever since I entered the travel industry. So when I received a cruise for attending an industry event, I jumped at the opportunity. I chose my dad as my travel companion because I figured it'd be a great place to get out and enjoy the wilderness, the outdoors, and spend some time bonding with my dad.
That is so fantastic, Carrie. I love hearing about that. Traveling with your father, what a great experience. So Alaska has so many wonderful attractions for travelers. What were some that interested you and that you were able to experience?
So Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve was so amazing. Only 2 large cruise ships are allowed to sail there each day, and you spend the full day cruising past amazing scenery and watching the glaciers calve. So what that means is ice breaks off from them and you can hear it crackle, and then you actually see part of the glacier, the front part of the glacier, break off and float into the bay, which is really cool to see.
It is a great experience.
There's another park, Tongass National Forest in Juneau. I did not know that Alaska has a rainforest. Did you, Bill?
Yes, I've been there. It's pretty awesome.
So on our excursion, we took a rainforest walk and we were able to hike past a salmon hatchery and visit with an Alaskan native who was carving a 15-foot totem pole. It was really cool. There are certainly some learning opportunities, associated with the historical and cultural experiences you can have in Alaska. You can learn about Alaska Native culture. There are different museums you can visit. And so I think that's something that would appeal to anyone traveling with a family or into history.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, when I was in Tongass, we're walking through, because we weren't too far from Mendenhall, and we heard rustling back there. And they said the bears were being active that day. So we kind of walked a little bit faster to get out of there. But it was a very cool experience.
My dad got to see a bear, but I didn't. And he was like, didn't you see the bear? And I'm like, no, you should have pointed it out to me. I was watching the salmon jump.
Yep. We just had customers get back from a sailing and they saw whales from a distance the whole time that they were up there. And it was mid to late August, so that they were, the whales were sailing back toward the warmer waters.
We were dining and someone spotted a whale and we happened to be sitting by the window, and you would have thought, she was so excited. She ran over and she was leaning over me. Can I get that photo? It was such a funny moment. I did get a photo and sent it to her later, and she was so thankful because everyone wants to see a whale in Alaska.
Yes, that is so true. So let's talk about this, the gold rush era. Did it impact you very much when you were there?
Yeah, so I think it would be a great thing for families because they get into that panning for gold and the idea of, the adventure of going out into the wilderness, someplace untouched and new.
I agree. I had done it once. It wasn't for me that much, but I certainly saw people truly enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. And then the outdoor activities. What doesn't Alaska have? From fishing to hiking to those small seaplanes you can take, glacier trekking. Really for the adventurous and outdoorsy type, there's just so much there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. So talk about the big Northern Lights situation.
Well, yeah, we were hoping to see the Northern Lights, but we couldn't, and I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, it's that time of year, really. They start to come in a little bit later, maybe in August, all the way to April. And you really have to be in the northernmost part of Alaska. You're not just going to see it down there in that southern coastal area. So, and I think from your perspective as an agent, you have to understand the cruising time for Alaska, right? That late May to just very early September, and with those peak times being June, July, and August. So let's keep that in mind of when the best time is. Make sure you're having those conversations with your clients so they understand when the best time for you to be there. It could be value season, early June, late May, and certainly late August, but really, what do they want to get out of it? And that's why you have to explain that to them as well. So one of the most popular ways to experience Alaska is on a cruise ship, but there's some misunderstandings about the cruise and the cruise tour. So it becomes complicated, right? Our clients will say, we want to go to Alaska on a cruise, and you're like, okay, you have to qualify them, and we'll get into that in a little while. Is it a 7-night cruise, which is round trip Seattle or potentially round trip Vancouver, or is it a northbound southbound cruise that's added onto a cruise tour portion, which is the cruise northbound or southbound with that interior land portion that we always like to add on 3 or 4 or 5 nights, which will include the tour of Denali in the domed car rail, which is what we always see on the TV, right? So exciting for our customers to experience this because it does show all those vistas of those huge white-capped mountains up there that they get to see. And then, of course, they get to stay in a lodge on those additional 3 or 4 nights. So there's a lot of options for that. Just make sure that you understand the difference between the cruise portion and the cruise tour sale that we usually look at. So you said you visited on a cruise. What was it like and what were you expecting?
I did. We took the 7-day northbound from Vancouver to Anchorage, and I was expecting more of a cruise tour experience, less water, more land. So definitely if I go back, I would build it out more next time, adding that into the budget and the additional time off, planning ahead. I also would probably go at a different time of year. I went in mid-September and it got a bit chilly and windy, which for a photo buff, that was rough. I was always worried about being too cold to get outside to get the shots I wanted to get. But one thing that helped with that was the balcony stateroom. I loved having a balcony. From just waking up in different ports, the 3 ports we visited, to being able to watch the sunrise or sunset, or just go back to the room to warm up and then step outside when you were passing by, an amazing glacier. You can see it right there from your room.
Gosh,
so
I'm so
cool.
glad you described that perfectly, Carrie. I think that that's an important factor to think about. Is it the experience we want from the size of the cabin, or what we're going to see when we're out on that balcony? Because a lot of people might want to have their morning breakfast out there, or coffee, whatever the case is, or go back to their cabin and experience what they could during the day.
Yeah, and here's another way you can warm up. There are pools on the cruise ship. The ship was a lot like a ship in the Caribbean, but these pools were covered and heated, so I was glad I brought my bathing suit. I was able to jump in the hot tub too to warm up after some of that chilly glacier viewing.
My favorite thing in Alaska is to go sit on the back hot tub and watch as the views go by. One of the important factors, Carolyn, that we spoke about is the qualifying process, right? We need to be sure that our customers, our clients, those potential clients understand exactly what they're getting into when you're talking about the Alaska experience. You just said that some of what you experienced wasn't exactly what you expected. You would have liked to have seen a little bit more. We've got to have those important conversations with them. And nature is so unpredictable, right? We don't know, because I was there late August, and when we were going through the glaciers, we were freezing. So it's that same idea. Certain times of the years we can do certain things, other times we can't. What could travel agents do best to help prepare their customers for the experience to be fully what they expect?
Yeah, well, I think travel agents can just help manage those expectations from the beginning, as you said, Bill. For me, a big part of it was what to pack, what to bring. So KHM travel agents have access to a great Alaska packing list, and I used that. I checked everything off. Like I said, a swimsuit, waterproof clothing, layers, definitely layers, because the weather is so unpredictable. And of course, formal attire, because every cruise is going to have a formal night or two. I think another way travel agents can help is really understanding the itinerary, reading through the whole thing so you can, help qualify your clients for the best experience. A lot of the experiences you're going to get on an Alaskan cruise are through your excursions. So you want to work with the client to help understand which bucket list excursions they want to take advantage of, and they book up early too. So getting them planned in advance is key. They have limited space as well in Alaska.
That is absolutely a very, very good point. It is something that we need to understand better, not just the whole cruising element. What's it like when we're on shore at those various ports? So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and can I just say, Glacier Bay was definitely a highlight of the cruise, but I didn't expect it to be. I chose that specific itinerary thanks to tapping into the network of agents that I had access to. I knew I wanted to see glaciers. I wasn't quite sure if it would just be a chunk of ice or what it would look like, but I had a feeling that's where some good photography was going to be. So if I wouldn't have chosen that itinerary, I would have missed it completely. We would have just gone the other way and gone home from Anchorage, or returned and gone back to Vancouver.
Yeah. And then, of course, you mentioned that you took your father. So I'm curious about the mobility issues, if there were any on someone his age, and what that was like.
Yeah, so my dad is older. He was happening to have a hip problem leading up to the cruise, so we knew that he wasn't going to be able to take advantage of many of the really adventurous excursions. We were able to still have a full experience together. So one of the excursions that we chose was the White Pass Summit excursion, which is a train ride up into the Yukon. It's steps from the pier, so that's really great. You easily board the train, you pick your seat, you never leave the train because it's literally the route you take is cut into the side of a mountain, so you wouldn't want to leave the train, but it never stops. But you go past so many amazing amazing views. And if you are more active, you can step out onto the platform between the cars.
Oh
And
no,
that was
I'm
really-
not doing that.
Oh, I spent most of my time out there.
Are you
Bill.
serious?
I
Oh
did.
my
Well, I
gosh.
wanted to get the good
The
shots.
rail part is
The-
good, I guess, where you can stand there. It's not
Yeah,
as
you
bad.
could get that shot of the train wrapping around with just the scenic vista, and it's like the shot every travel agent wants to be able to share,
Yeah.
on their social media. So I was definitely out there trying to get that shot. But my dad just sat there in the window staring out. I mean, he looked like a little kid. I was just so excited to have him. He loves trains, so
How
it was
cool.
a good experience.
For those of you who haven't experienced it, make sure that you understand it, the White Pass Rail. It's one of the best excursions. Just look at those trusses and how high they are, and watching that train go by is just absolutely amazing.
So I loved my cruise experience, but I'm really curious to know how it differs from staying on land in a resort or hotel.
Yeah. So I think, from my experience, and I've been there 3 or 4 times, a couple times just hotel, and then jetting off from that hotel to do various things, and then the other time cruising. I have to say that because of the length of the distance from hotel to first or second experience, you're better off with the cruise so that you're going port to port. And then, of course, the land portion, which puts you at a lodge typically up there in that Denali, that wilderness area. And now you're able to jet off from there, right? And I think some of the important factors are to think about when we are at the lodge. What are we taking advantage of? For instance, there's always a Denali tour that might be 4 or 5 hours long. Should we be recommending the Tundra tour, which is almost 8 hours long, where we're going deep into Denali Park and we can see many more wildlife there, right? Depending on the time of year. So we have to have that conversation. I think that there's advantages to both because I personally love Anchorage. I love the city of Anchorage. I think it's pretty cosmopolitan for thinking that it was more rustic. I'm not a big Fairbanks fan because it's too rustic for me. Therefore I like that whole cruise tour portion of it.
And what's neat is they take the bags right from the cruise to
Yes.
the resort.
The
So you don't have to worry
transitions are
about that.
amazing. I completely agree with you. I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah, so my cruise was 7 days with 3 ports and 3 days at sea. So I felt like that was a good amount of relaxation and adventure. But how long do you recommend that clients visit when they're doing a hotel or a lodge stay?
Right. So when we look at the cruise tour portion versus the cruise only portion, I'm a big fan of the 3 or 4 night portion added onto that. That gives you that domed car rail experience for your clients, the Denali lodges, the wilderness lodges, a whole bunch of other Alyeska, Talkeetna. You get to get in there and see all those various places. So those are some of the variations between the land portion and the cruise portion. That's why we like to call it a cruise tour portion, so they get the land as well. Carrie, with your background and expertise in marketing, what quick tips do you have for our agents to consider when marketing Alaska?
Well, I think the most important thing is the limited season for Alaska, especially cruises, which means less availability and trips are booked farther out in advance. So your marketing efforts should really match that extended booking window. KHM travel agents have access to the monthly agent strategy guide, which can tell you more about exactly when to be promoting and booking Alaska. I definitely also recommend that you show different types of people in your marketing for Alaska. Show the older demographic, show families, clients who like adventure and sporty activities, and then of course even honeymooners could enjoy Alaska.
Absolutely.
It's also a great destination for groups, so couples and friends that are traveling together, multi-generational family trips, and special interest groups like photography clubs, hiking groups, nature lovers. Great opportunity for booking a group.
Built-in business is right there. I love the hiking group idea. Let's start proposing that to some of the people that we know are involved in that. That's going to help.
Yeah, and I think the best tip I have is just get out there and experience it for yourself. Take advantage of any opportunities you have. It's going to take a little more time and money, maybe for some of you traveling from the East Coast to get way out there, but you're going to come back with your own memories, your own photos and videos to use in your marketing. Every Alaska trip is different and really tells a different story, so you want to be able to tell your story as a travel agent.
Did you hear that? Capture that story and put it out there in social media. I love that you said that. These are all great tips. It's crucial to stay in sync with our supplier messaging. When are they marketing Alaska? We have to tag on to those dates. Use that social media. They do the work for us. It's all there available for us. In particular with KHM, our suppliers are in tune with that, giving us the graphics, giving it to our marketing team to get it to you. So I think it really works well that we stay in tune with all that. So again, thank you so much for watching. Carolyn, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Your expertise has been very, very helpful. What destination do you want us to cover for you next? please comment below and let us know what travel agent tips you want to learn about. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate you. We'll see you again soon.